Tactical Web is back. It's been a while, but my work's been crazy as long as the world has been. We're not here about that. We are here to talk current Bama events and spring practice. Anyway, I thought there was a really good little story about DeBoer, and he was talking about highly of his new 3 incoming coaches. We lost Sheridan to be the Michigan State OC. We lost Shepard to be the Oregon State head coach, and we also lost Kapovic. Thank the Lord. He's going to an off-the-field role, and I know he'll do great in that. But anyway, we had to make some changes. Like I said, we hired Richard Owens, we hired Derek Nix, and we hired Adrian Clem. And by far, Adrian Clem has the hardest job in the SEC this coming year, in my opinion. Like he's got to revamp offensive line that has been very horrible probably for the last 5, potentially 6 years. And he's kind of revamped the running back room a little bit. So, he's got that going on. Like I said, but it was really cool what he was talking about. DeBoer was saying how that he noticed that about these 3 guys, they all have the same characteristic and trait. Not only do they have all the experience in their backgrounds and lots of success, he also said how efficient they were in everything they did, how they could spot a problem so fast, diagnose it, and then help the player with it, where it wouldn't get stuck in their head and they're slowing their play down because all they can think about is that one mistake they made or that one thing they're doing wrong and trying to overcorrect, which leads into a myriad of other problems. And I was like, man, that's a really cool diagnosis of all those coaches. He's catching that. He's seeing that from those guys, which is great professionalism, which is going to show up on the sidelines and it's going to show up in games later in the season and should show up with progress on the field and better play and all that kind of stuff and just all that. It'll pay dividends later on. I thought that was really cool. He also said, this was really cool, that Caleb Woodson out of Virginia Tech, the linebacker, he brought that guy in to be a captain type guy, and how he's taken on that role super fast from day one. It's just like a light switch is switched on with him. And I think that's a really great thing. Like I said, he was the second leading tackle at Virginia Tech last year with 58 tackles, and he also had 2.5 for a loss. Now, there's a lot of guys, Sanders and QB Reese and Jones, who are going to be vying for that middle linebacker spot because that's one of the areas of need and love that we got at Alabama this year, along with the offensive line that'll totally be retooled and the defensive line. A great thing, he also mentioned one of the linemen by name. He talked about one of my favorite names, Rayson Delgatti. That's a pretty cool name. Hey, Rayson, what are you doing, my Delgatti? Anyway, that's some lame humor. We'll keep moving on. But he just said the young man had come in and he'd really worked hard on his strength and conditioning. And that's something he really has hit the ground running with. And he showed significant numbers just in the first 2 weeks of this spring practice, which is very encouraging for me. And I think all the Bama faithful out there. Injuries that we have of note, like I said, we've got Jamarian Latham. He's going to be out most of the spring. And then Bray Hubbard, he had that neck injury, so he's going to be very limited going into the spring. That could give some other guys some great reps and some valuable reps going into spring and summer ball and then obviously into the fall. Now, going back to the offensive line, very rebuilt, right? It's going to be totally new. And like I said, when it breaks down, you got the new incoming guys, right? You've got out of high school, Daughtry, 6'5", 300, Cooley, 6'6", 320, Booker, he's an interior lineman, he's 6'5", 285, and Miller, he's an offensive tackle at 6'5", 305. Okay, now, those guys are long shots, just for lack of playing time, lack of reps in college, just not being around the strength and conditioning programs and things of that nature. Now, we know, and if I'm picking here, you need 5 good down linemen, right? I think Haywood out of Michigan from the portal, I think he plays. All right. I could be wrong, but right now I'm penciling him in. I'm penciling in Brooks from the portal from Texas. I know he didn't do great last year, and I know all that. He's got reps. He does have experience, and he's a mass monster at 6'7" and 360. So I think he's another guy you'll pencil in unless he's very dreadful. I think you pencil him. And also Delgatti. We're also seeing that right now. So that's 3 of them, right? You got to have 2 more. Now, I really think this other one, he's another guy that's a portal guy, and I think he will play. Another guy out of Michigan, Strayhorn. I think he does play. He's got a lot of reps. I think he'll play. awesome guy. So that's your fourth. But I really think, now Brooks he's hit or miss, but I think he could be one of them. Now, we know that Michael Carroll is one of them. So that's your five. Now, I think that Brooks he's going to be in that level right there. He's going to be that guy that, somebody like maybe Fields could compete with, or maybe Cooley, right? We've heard great things about Cooley. So those are the two positions. I think four of them are definitely kind of cemented, but we don't know. Like, anything can happen, injuries can happen, whatever. But like I said, if I'm looking at this piece of paper right here, I'm going with Haywood. I'm going with Brooks. I'm definitely going with Dale Gotti. Brooks is on the fence guy for me, but he's in your three. I'm going with Strayhorn for sure. And I'm going with Michael Carroll, right? Brooks is interchangeable. But those are my guys if I'm picking right now. Like I said again, those are who I'm picking. That's, to me, that offensive line, defensive line, those are the anchors for the team. And that offensive line is the anchor to I think, ultimately, who will be the quarterback. Now, we do know DeBoer has a type. He likes him over 6 foot. He's not huge on the mobile. He likes him to have a cannon for an arm to make great decisions. Now, we know Austin Mack, this is 4th year in the season. 4th year in the system of DeBoer. We know that. Okay. He came in to do pretty good things in the Rose Bowl. That's a fact. Now, but I think where Keelan Russell comes in there is that mobility, man. We don't know how this offensive line is going to be. If it's as porous as it's been the last 5 years going into the 6th year, and if we're looking at the same thing again, Austin Mack is a Carson Beck of statues. He can't move, where Keelan Russell can move. That's going to be a key component battle, I think. But it'll be solved by how good we think that offensive line is going to be. Now, it's another thing. How good will the running game be? That hinges on their offensive line, and that also is another area that we're kind of getting our feet wet. Now, we assume that the number one spot is already Daniel Hill. He's a big dude. Like I said, newsflash, he squatted 805, confirmed the other day. He can bench press a house. He's like a tank. He's got to have lanes to run in. That's a fact. We have to have a better grasp on that, which I think Adrian Clem fits into that, right? But Adrian Clem also has to figure out who's the second and third running backs. Me, I'm thinking Isaiah Crowell, just from the stats he brings out of high school, the speed he brings, the vision he brings, because that number two slot is wide open. So I think that is an area that we can definitely use him in. So, that's another huge area. And we got three big areas, in my opinion. We got quarterback, we got offensive line, defensive line, middle linebacker. That core group of 4 right there will kind of solidify a lot of things for us. So hopefully they start getting weeded out through the spring and into the summer ball, and we start seeing who the guys that are going to set the tone, the guys who are going to show up every day with a lunch pail and two chin straps to solidify this thing. And that's where we're going to be at. And I think that's where, as we head into this line, or head into the spring and summer, what we're going to see. And I think that what we need to watch is who are the guys that are mostly on the 1s and 2s. Who are the guys that are the 5 hands in the dirt linemen on defense and offense? Who are the guys that get the most reps at linebacker? Quarterback, we could see that last up until the week of game time. Because I think both guys are talented. I think both guys will take it to the wire. That's just going to come down who throws better, who makes better decisions. But also, I think if that offensive line is porous again, you're going to have to go with a quicker guy. You can't have a guy who is an absolute Greek statue in the background. He's got to be able to run. He's got to be able to throw it off a little bit. I know that DeBoer doesn't like to lean on the run from the quarterback. We know that from his history and what he likes to do. But it's going to hinge on a lot of that. And we'll try to keep you updated through everything. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Tide Talk Web is out.